Long ago, they say, when the sky was not so high, the passing sun let fall some emerald jewels into the dark blue sea, a chain of islands that we have called the eighth continent, the little world of Caribbean sunshine and year-long spring.
In 1493, Columbus came here after a long voyage of hardship, scurvy, and mutiny. Now the journey to the islands is quicker and a good deal easier. The bait that lured Columbus and later the Spanish conquistadores was El Dorado, the legendary city of gold. Strangely, what they sought and yet could not see was there all the time. The gold of the sun, the gold of the beaches, the glitter on the sea, lavish enough for the greediest adventurer. Now we know that the sun itself is a golden gift, and a marvelous freedom grows from it. The first tribes that lived here have left us two gentle memories and little else, the hammock and tobacco. Symbols of leisure and pleasure that still dictate the slow tempo of the life of these islands. In the wild seafaring days of the 16th century, any attempt to settle for golden sunlight and quiet pastimes would have been greeted with laughter. Doubloons it had to be, and pieces of eight, and moidores, and sovereigns. And the Caribbean quickly turned into the colonial cockpit of Europe. When 3 centuries of luck, judgment, and good old-fashioned ferocity had run their course, each island was neatly parceled out in such a way that America still has half of Europe on its doorstep. The British got Grenada, and St. George's, the capital, became an English country town. Somehow the sun always takes a hand in making things a little bit diffuse here. You get your snapshots developed at the barbers, shoes mended at the piano tuners, and the bus delivers the milk. And despite the polite Georgian exteriors of Grenada, the Prince of Wales once found himself refused a dance here. It happened at a party in 1778, for which the future William IV had dressed up, as a joke, in one of his midshipman's uniforms, and was consequently not recognized.
Amazing the difference a uniform can make. Somehow, seeing policemen in traditional 19th century British uniforms makes it all feel like a well-arranged and friendly place. When history said it was time to bring on the buccaneers, there was the island of St. Thomas, perfectly placed strategically for a bit of privateering on the Spanish Main. It's worth a walk along the beaches here, for the odd memory of them still turns up on the tide. The so-called gentlemen, urged on by monarchs with a weakness for profitable plunder, used the deep-water harbour of Charlotte Amalie as their home port. Sir Francis Drake and his rather less respectable successors, Captain Kidd and Blackbeard, found this a safe anchorage and a good place for selling booty. Although St. Thomas was long since bought by the United States from Denmark, the atmosphere of high adventure with Scandinavian overtones still lingers. But now the chief occupation for visitors is finding a bargain. For this is a free port and the shopper's dream come true. The special thing about St. Thomas is its nice, relaxed feeling of Greenwich Village, south. To defend his island possession of Puerto Rico, the Spanish king built the fortress of El Morro, little realizing that in doing so, he would, above all, be preserving a Spanish way of life in the Caribbean. Building the fortress was so expensive that he thought it must be of tremendous height, and he is reported to have peered anxiously from the balconies of his palace in Spain, hoping to see it rise above the distant horizon. The old streets and squares of San Juan are very Spanish. It isn't just the siesta and the mañana in the air that make you feel this. Somehow, there always seems to be time for enjoying things that are nothing to do with housework nor with earning money. Then again, once the door has been opened to you, there's that quiet, enclosed, very private courtyard feeling of the houses. You'd never guess that this is a hotel that's only a few hours' flight from New York. It feels like the courtyard of a well-ordered hacienda somewhere near Seville. Frenchness of Martinique has a different quality. And you especially notice it if you begin in Saint-Pierre, underneath Montpellier. It was once the little Paris of the Caribbean. But in May 1902, it became the Pompeii of the islands, and the whole side of the mountain blew out, leaving a lone survivor badly burned in his prison cell. Nothing else was left but scattered fragments of elegance. The farming even is languid here, but the soil brings forth such riches that in Paris they used to judge you rich as a Creole plantation owner. And if you look, even in an apparently humble farm cottage, you can still stumble upon an exotic memory. The romantic Creole wife of Napoleon was born and brought up here, the Empress Josephine, pearl of the Antilles. This is France under a warmer sun. The philosopher. Fragments of elegance. Just the right amount of refined decay. The French way of life. Mass on Sunday morning, carnival on Sunday afternoon. And don't forget, it was here that the Beguine began. Martinique is a sultry female place. It was here that Paul Gauguin first felt and painted this alchemy of cinnamon skin and warming sun. The fates of history have put Europe into the sunshine here in the Caribbean and have made an extraordinary pattern of warm, reviving islands, each with its own particular mood that you can choose to fit your own.